Okay, welcome, and today we're going to look at factorising of algebraic expressions. So we're going to go, a lot of this involves looking at highest common factors. So we'll do a little practice with highest common factors to begin with. So if, for instance, I had two numbers, 12 and 20, to identify the highest common factor, I need to list all the factors of 12, which are down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. All the factors of 20, 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 and 20. And I need to identify the highest that are in both lists. So there you go, you can see that is 4. Okay, what about 10 and 8? We'll do the same sort of thing. There you can see, highest common factor would be 2. So just go down the list, factors of 10, factors of 8. You can pause this video and just double check if you're not too sure. Factors of 12, factors of 18, the highest common factor would be 6. Likewise, 6 and 15. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 3, 5, 15. Highest common factor would be 3. And the final one, 2 and 7. Well, there's no real common factor with these. Factors of 2 would be 1 and 2, factors of 7, 1 and 7, so highest common factor is 1, so that doesn't really add a lot of value. So I'm going to quickly move on to the next slide because this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. If, for instance, I had x and x squared, my factors of x would be 1 and x. Likewise, my factors of x squared would be 1, x, and x squared. So I could say the highest common factor would be x. Let's have a think about this one here. So tuck that away, bring this one here. And the factors of x would be 1 and x, just like we did earlier. Factors of xy, 1's a factor, x is a factor, y is a factor, and xy is a factor. So again, highest common factor would be x. Tuck that one away. Move to the next one. This time we have x cubed and x squared. So have a think about that for a second. Okay, factors of x cubed would be 1, x, x squared, x cubed. Factors of x squared would be 1, x, and x squared. You notice I always go from the lowest to the highest, and the highest factor that's in both of those would be the x squared. Okay, let's look at something a little bit more complicated again. This time I have x squared y and xy squared. If you think about all the different factors of those, there's quite a few now. Alright, so factors of x squared y would be 1. X is a factor because x is, that'll always divide by x. Y is a factor. Xy is a factor, and x squared y. Now, looking here, xy squared, 1, xy, then I have xy, and I have xy squared, and the highest common factor would be this one here, which is xy. Now, it does get quite complicated, doesn't it? And the last one, x squared y and xy squared. Again, let's list all the factors. 1, x, x squared, y, x squared y. And I've got on this side here 1 x z, z squared, and x z squared. Hopefully you can start to observe that pattern when I list all those factors. And again, highest common factor is the x. Now, what we're going to do now is combine our variables with our coefficients, so the numbers with the variables, which are the letters. So let's look at this one here, 6x and 4x squared. Now, what I actually do is look at both the coefficients, the numbers, and the variables together. So you'll see going down here, my numbers, my coefficients associated with x are factors 1, 2, 3, 6, and associated with the 4, 1, 2, and 4. Now, looking at the highest common factor for the numbers here is a 2. Now let's look at the x's. Well, the variable, I should say. So I've got the x here, so the factors of x are 1 and x. Factors of the x squared will be 1, x, and x squared. So again, you can say that and that. So that's my x's are also the highest common factors of the variables. So I can say my highest common factor will be 2x. Right, let's look at the next one. So feel free to pause this video if I'm going too fast and you want to have just to think about what I have here. So this time I have 12xy and 4x squared. Now I'm going to list all the factors of 12 and all the factors of xy. Then I'm going to have a go at listing all the factors of 4 and all the factors of x squared. So here we go. Factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Factors of 4, 1, 2, 4. So there we go. We know that the coefficient, the number, will be 4. That's the part of my highest common factor with the number. Now look at the letters. For xy, 1, x, y, and xy. Look at the factors for x squared, 1, x, x squared. So the highest will be 4x. You can see the 4x in both columns there. Now, that's all we have done so far is looked at the highest common factor. Now what we need to do is perhaps start to put it all together and look to factorize. So if I needed to factorize, say for instance, 6x plus 4x squared, what I need to do first, step 1, is basically identify the highest common factor for both of these equations here, both the 6x and the 4x squared. I really should have said variables. So here we go. Factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. Factors of the 4, 1, 2, 4. Highest common factor there for the variable, for the coefficient is 2. And the factors of x, 1 and x. Factors of x squared, 1, x, x squared. So, what is our highest common factor? You guessed it, 2x. Well done. Now, next step. This is a little bit tricky. Just look to see how I have done this. Since 2x is the highest common factor, I want to take that outside of the brackets. That's now my factor. It's on the outside. I've got the original equation on the inside, which is a 6x plus 4x squared. 6x plus 4x squared. And because I'm multiplying by the 2x, I'm going to have to divide each of these components by 2x. This is all about factors. So since we know they're factors, it will divide evenly. So 6x divided by 2x, you guessed it, the x's will cancel out and we'll end up with a 3 there. So let's have a look. So there's our 3, and when I have 4 divided by 2, I'll end up with 2, and when I have x squared divided by 2x, when I have x squared divided by x, I'll end up with x. Let's just double check. If I go to use the distributive law, where I multiply this by this, I'll have 2x times 3, that becomes 6x. And when I have 2x multiplied by 2x, that will become 4x squared. So you can see 6x plus 4x squared, that there is an expansion of this here. So multiply that by that, that by that. So let's do another one. When you get a little bit more of an understanding. So I'll move to the next page. Say I have 4x squared plus 12xy. Right, first step, find the highest common factor. So factors of, well, I've got these the wrong way around. So this here, I'll just draw a line. So what I have done here, I have put the factors of 12x squared along here. And I put the factors of my 4x squared over there. My mistake. Apologies. It happens. So, factors of 12xy. What was our factors of 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. Factors of 4. 1, 2, 4. Highest digit, highest coefficient is 4. Now for my xy, that's this bit here, 1, x, y, xy. And for my x squared, 1, x squared. So, what is my highest common factor? You guessed it, 4x. Now, what I need to do now, let's have a look. I need to take 4x out, put it outside some brackets, because that is my highest common factor. Then I take that original equation and I'm going to divide every bit of it by 4x. Then 4x, so we'll divide the 4 by the 4, and that just ends up with a 1. So we don't need to worry too much about that. X squared divided by x is x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. xy divided by x, well, the x will just cancel out, and I'll just be left with that y there. So let's have a look. So we end up with 4x on the outside, doesn't change. X is what I get when I divide 4x squared by 4x, and 3y is what I end up with when I have 12xy divided by 4x. Quickly just double check to make sure all this is correct. 4x by x becomes 4x squared. 4x times 3y, 4 times 3 is 12, and x times y is xy. Right. Let's just do a couple more just to verify that understanding. Now, looking at this one here. So, factors of 5x. Let's look at the digits first. Factors of 5. Okay, 1 and 5. That's quite straightforward. Factors of 12, 20. 1. Okay, we have a 2 there. 4, 5, 10, 20. Okay, it's fairly obvious. The 5 and the 5. Highest common factor. What about this x? Well, I've only got an x on this side. I don't have any x's over there. So that's all I can work with is the 5. So on this side over here, 5. And that inside there, I put my original equation. 5x plus 20. Now, I just need to divide both sides by 5. So divide that side by 5. Divide that side by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So my answer will be 5 into x plus 4. And quite easily you can see if I multiply 5 by x, I end up with 5x. 5 times 4, I end up with 20. So that works out quite well. Okay, let's just clear off that annotation. And I'm going to move to the next one. Let's think about how we would handle that. Y squared minus y. Okay, I need to, this time, change my colour, I need to list the factors of y squared. That'll be 1, wow, that's bright, y and y squared. The factors of y, okay, are 1 and y. So what's the highest common factor? There we go. Those ones there. It's the y. So take the y out. That's my highest common factor that goes on the outside of the brackets. The inside of the brackets, start with your original equation, y squared. minus y, and then we're going to divide each side by that highest common factor. Y and y. I don't like this green. I'm not going to use it again. My apologies. So on the outside, still our y, inside of our brackets, y squared divided by y will be a single y, all on its lonesome, and we need to subtract what is y divided by y? 1. So there you go. Y times y is y squared. Y times negative 1 is negative y. So there you go, we've done that one there. I'll clear those annotations. Back to my pointer. I'll move to the next one. And this time I've got 3 terms. So don't be too alarmed about the fact I have 3 terms. It just means I need to list 3 sets of factors. So I'm going to pick a better colour this time, I think. Let's go for the purple. Nothing wrong with a bit of purple. So factors of 9. 9, 3, 1. Factors of 6. 6. What else have we got? 3, 2, 1. Factors of 3. 3, 1. What's the term that's common to that? Nah, you guessed it, it's the 3. So the 3 has to go on the outside. Now, I don't need to worry about the y and the z because I don't have a y or a z over here. So I just skipped that step straight away. So there's the end of my brackets. 6y, no, it's not 6y, it is 9y plus 6z plus 3, and what I need to do, divide each of these terms by 3. See that? The 3, because the 3 is on the outside. So 3, now 9 divided by 3 would be 3, so I'll end up with 3y. 6 divided by 3 will become 2, so that becomes 2z. And 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. I can check this. 3 times 3y is 9y. 3 times 2z, well, 3 times 2 is 6, so that becomes 6z. And 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, and we're going to go off, clear that annotation, and I'm going to do the very last one. So here we go. So there. Now, this looks rather complicated. We have all sorts of factors here. So I think I'll have to go up here and have a go at writing down all these factors. So pen back, and my factors of here. So my factors will be 3 and 1. And over here will just be a simple old 1. They are the coefficients, the number part of our factors. Now, let's look at the variables. So I'll just, different colour blue this time, my variables. So I have a squared, I'll have a. Okay, I've also got an a squared b, okay, an a squared c. You can see where I'm heading with this. I've also got an a b. I also have an a c, and I also have an a squared b c. Gee, there's a lot of factors there. But what you can see here, if I do my factors over this side, my factors will be a, c, d, also AC, AD, just listing all the different combinations, CD, and last one, A, C, D. So what is common to both of these? We've certainly got A, which is common. I don't have a D over here, so that's no good. AC is common, so that's high. AD, so AC is the highest common factor there. It's over there, and it's over there. So I will take AC, that goes on the outside. And I need to take my equation, so 3A squared BC, and to divide that bit by AC, subtract ACD, all divided by AC. Okay, we'll just sort of watch. This is a way that I like to sort of have a go at just cancelling out when I start to do my division. So well, I can say that C there cancels off with that one there. So C divided by C just ends up with being 1. Now that A, so I have an A squared, divide that by A. So if I was doing my division of indices, I could just say 2 minus 1. So that will cancel off with that, and I'll just end up with a 1 here now. And on this side here, that A will cancel with that. That C will cancel with that. So back to my nice light blue colour. So I end up with AC multiplied by 3AB minus, what have I got left over here? D. Yeah. Let's have a look. Check that when I multiply these out now. So when I multiply this by this, I'll end up with 3. That's my coefficient. I'll end up with A times A, which is A squared. And then I have my B, and then I've also got the C. Minus, and then the last bit is AC times D, so that becomes ACD. And again, I've forgotten to put that little one up over there to indicate that I was multiplying that multiplication happening and that multiplication happening. Wow, that's a lot of work in that. So don't worry if you don't understand it yet. Plenty of time, but just remember, each time all we're doing is going back and looking for those highest common factors each time. So back here we look for the highest common factors for each variable, so for each term, identify them, and then look to do the